My brother's best friend was obsessed with me. Emma didn't know he had a key. The sound was soft, metal sliding into metal, a slow turn of the lock. Click. She froze halfway up the stairs. Her brother wasn't home. Her mother was working late. No one else should have been there. The front door opened carefully. Not force, not rush, like the person entering belonged inside. And before she even saw him, she knew. Adrian, her brother's best friend. He had been in that house for years. At dinner, on holidays, on ordinary nights when nothing special was happening. He didn't knock anymore, but he had never come over when Emma was alone. Until tonight, his footsteps moved across the living room, slow, controlled, like he was checking something, or someone. Then he said her name, softly, Emma, not loud, not panic, calm. That was what made her heart tighten. If he meant harm, he wouldn't say her name like that, right? She should have stayed on the stairs. She should have called her brother. Instead, she walked down, step by step, toward him. Adrian stood in the middle of the living room, sleeves rolled up, keys resting loosely in his hand. When he saw her, he didn't look surprised. You scared me, Emma said. Her voice came out smaller than she intended. His gaze moved over her slowly. Not inappropriate, not careless. Careful. Checking. You left your window unlocked again, he said. Her stomach dropped. What? Your bedroom window, he repeated evenly. It's unlocked. She stared at him. I didn't tell anyone that. A quiet pause filled the room. His jaw shifted slightly. You shouldn't, he replied. The air felt heavier. How do you even know? She asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped closer, not touching her, never touching, just close enough that she felt his presence. I don't like when you make it easy, he said. His voice was low, controlled. Her pulse stumbled. Make what easy? His eyes darkened. For someone to get to you. Something changed inside her then. It wasn't pure fear. It wasn't comfort either. It was something in between. Because a small part of her didn't hate that he noticed. And that frightened her more than the unlocked window. Emma couldn't stop thinking about it. I don't like when you make it easy. The next afternoon, Adrian was in the kitchen like nothing unusual had happened. Coffee in hand, talking with her brother. Laughing. Normal. Completely normal. But when his eyes met hers across the room, there was nothing casual in his expression. It was steady. Focus. Intent. Later that evening, Emma found him alone on the back porch. The sky was dim, the air cool. You came over when no one was home, she said quietly. He didn't deny it. Yes. No excuse. No apology. Just the truth. Why? His gaze moved past her, scanning the yard. There's been a car driving by every night, he said. Her stomach tightened. What car? Dark sedan. Slows down in front of the house. 1:17 a.m. Every time. Her throat felt dry. How would you know that? He looked at her then. Calm. Certain. Because I've been watching. The honesty unsettled her more than a lie would have. You've been watching me? She asked. Of course. No shame. No hesitation. You walk home alone from the cafe on Tuesdays. You switch seats when someone stares too long. You stopped sitting near the window last week. Her breath caught. She had never told him that. He stepped closer, still not touching, just lowering his voice. You don't notice the things I notice, he said. Her heart was beating faster now. And what exactly do you notice? She asked. His eyes softened, only slightly. Everything. A long silence followed. Emma should have been afraid. Instead, she felt exposed, seen, protected, and that was the most dangerous part. Because if he had sounded obsessed, she would have walked away. But he didn't. He sounded certain. And certainty is harder to resist than obsession. It was just a normal Friday night. Her brother had invited a few friends over. Emma didn't plan for it to happen. She hadn't dressed for attention. She hadn't meant to cause anything. Music played softly in the living room. Laughter drifted through the house. Adrian arrived late. He always did. Emma felt him before she saw him. The energy shifted. The air tightened. And then he stepped inside. Dark shirt, sleeves rolled, eyes scanning the room. They found her immediately, like they always did. But she wasn't alone. A guy from her brother's gym stood close beside her. His name was Ryan. Tall, friendly, easy smile. He leaned in when he spoke to her. Too close. Emma laughed at something he said. It wasn't force. She actually found him charming. And that was when she felt it. Adrian's gaze. It wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. It was still. Too still. Ryan reached out and brushed a strand of hair away from Emma's face. It was casual. Innocent. But Emma felt the temperature in the room drop. She glanced across the space. Adrian hadn't moved. He stood near the kitchen entrance, watching, not blinking, not interrupting, just observing. Emma's heartbeat shifted. Ryan kept talking, oblivious. Do you want to grab coffee sometime? He asked, before she could answer. A glass set down sharply on the counter. Not slam, not aggressive, just precise. Adrian walked over, unhurried, calm. Ryan turned, smiling. Hey, man. Adrian nodded once, his expression unreadable. Then his eyes moved to Emma. Can I borrow you? He asked. His voice was even, controlled. It wasn't a request. Ryan hesitated. Emma felt heat rise in her chest. She should say no. She didn't. She stepped away from Ryan, followed Adrian into the hallway. The music faded behind them. The air felt heavier here, quieter. What was that? She asked. His jaw was tight. Nothing. That didn't look like nothing. He looked at her then, really looked at her. You don't even see it, do you? See what? The way he was looking at you. Her pulse quickened. And how was he looking at me? Adrian stepped closer, still not touching, never touching, like he'd already decided what he wants. The words were low, measure. And that bothers you? She asked softly. A pause. His breathing shifted slightly. Yes. The honesty startled her. You don't get to be jealous, she said. His eyes darkened. I'm not jealous. Silence stretched between them. Then he added, I just don't like competition. Her heart skipped. I'm not something you win, she whispered. His gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then back to her eyes. No, he said quietly. You're something I protect. The hallway felt smaller suddenly, closer, more dangerous. From the living room, Ryan's laughter echoed. Adrian's expression changed. Not rage, not fury, just decision. If he asks you out, Adrian said calmly, you'll say no. Emma swallowed. And if I don't? His eyes held hers. Steady, certain. Then I'll make sure he does. And that was the first time she understood something clearly. Adrian didn't compete. He removed obstacles. When Ryan texted her the next morning, she didn't hesitate. Coffee at 4. She typed back yes. She told herself it was harmless. It was just coffee, just conversation, just a normal thing normal people did. But there was a small, quiet voice in her head, the one that whispered, "He's going to find out." She didn't tell Adrian. She didn't tell her brother. She didn't tell anyone. At 3:55 p.m., Emma walked into the cafe, the same one she always went to, the same one Adrian had mentioned. Ryan was already there. He smiled when he saw her, stood up, pulled out her chair. It was sweet, easy, normal. She kept waiting for something to feel wrong. It didn't. Ryan was kind, attentive. He asked questions. He listened. He laughed when she spoke. And for a moment, Emma relaxed, until she felt it. That quiet shift in the air. That awareness. Like someone had entered the room. Her spine stiffened. She didn't turn around immediately. She didn't need to. She knew. Across the cafe, near the window she had stopped sitting by last week, Adrian stood in line, hands in his pockets, expression neutral, watching, not glaring, not storming over, just there. Her heart began to pound. Ryan kept talking, oblivious. Emma forced herself not to look again. He could be here by coincidence. Maybe, maybe, but Adrian didn't do coincidences. A few minutes later, he walked past their table, close enough that she could feel the heat of him. He didn't stop. He didn't greet her. He simply paused long enough to set his coffee down at the table directly behind Ryan, facing her. Of course. Her pulse quickened. Ryan leaned forward. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just tired." Behind Ryan, Adrian sat down, silent, still, present. He didn't interrupt. He didn't speak. But every time Ryan leaned closer, every time Ryan's hand brushed near hers, Emma felt Adrian's gaze tighten. Not wild, not furious. Focus. Possessive. After 20 minutes, Ryan reached across the table. His fingers grazed Emma's wrist. "Can I see you again?" he asked softly. And that was when the chair behind Ryan scraped lightly against the floor. A controlled sound. Deliberate. Emma looked up. Adrian was standing. He walked to the trash bin slowly, threw away his empty cup, then stopped beside their table. His voice was calm. Even, Emma. Just her name. Ryan looked confused. "Hey, man," Ryan said casually. Adrian nodded once. Then he looked at Emma. "Not Ryan. Are, are you done?" Her breath caught. There was no anger in his tone. No scene. Just certainty. She hesitated. Ryan glanced between them. "Everything okay?" Ryan asked. Adrian's eyes never left hers. "You said you'd be home before dark," he said quietly. She hadn't. That wasn't true. But the way he said it made it sound real. Made it sound intimate. Ryan's expression shifted. "Oh, I didn't realize." "You wouldn't," Adrian replied smoothly. Emma felt heat crawl up her neck. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't threatening. He was claiming, without touching her, without raising his voice, just with presence. Ryan slowly withdrew his hand from her wrist. Adrian noticed. Of course he noticed. "Text me," Ryan said awkwardly. Emma nodded, but she didn't look at him. She was looking at Adrian, at the way his jaw tightened just slightly, the way his eyes softened only for her. When Ryan finally left, silence settled between them. Adrian waited. "So," Emma said quietly, "you follow all my dates." "No," he replied. A beat passed. just the ones that don't understand boundaries. Her heart pounded. And what exactly are my boundaries? She asked. He stepped closer, close enough that she felt his breath, still not touching. You, he said calmly, are not something a man gets to test. Her throat tightened. And you are? His eyes darkened. I'm the one who decides who gets near you. The air between them felt electric, possessive, dangerous. Emma should have been angry. Instead, she felt chosen. And that was the problem. Ryan texted her 2 days later. Coffee again. Emma stared at the message longer than she meant to. She told herself she wasn't doing this for Adrian. She wasn't trying to prove anything. She just wanted to see what would happen. She typed back yes. They agreed on Saturday afternoon. 3 o'clock. Same cafe. This time, she didn't tell anyone again. At 2:55 p.m. she was already seated. Her phone rested on the table. Her fingers tapped lightly against her cup. 3 o'clock pass. 3:05. 3:10. Then her phone buzzed. Ryan. Her stomach did. Hey, something came up. Can't make it. She frowned. That's okay. Everything all right? The typing bubble appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, yeah, just busy. Rain check. It felt off. Sure. Distant. But she told herself not to overthink it. People got busy. It wasn't a big deal. Except it was. Because after that message, he didn't text again. No follow-up. No new plan. Nothing. Monday at the gym, he barely looked at her. When she walked toward him, he shifted directions. When she said his name, he pretended not to hear. The charm was gone. The warmth replaced with something uneasy. Like he was nervous. Like he didn't want to be seen talking to her. That night, Emma stood in the kitchen staring at her phone. Confused. Embarrassed. Irritated. Adrian walked in quietly. He noticed the tension in her shoulders immediately. Something wrong? He asked. She hesitated. Then, did you say something to Ryan? He didn't look surprised. No. The answer came easily. Too easily. He canceled, she continued, and now he won't even look at me. Adrian leaned against the counter. Calm. Measure. Maybe he realized he was out of his depth. Her jaw tightened. You told me you wouldn't interfere. I didn't. She studied his face. There was no anger there. No smugness. Just certainty. Then what happened? She asked. A small pause. Adrian walked toward the sink, turned on the tap, washed his hands slowly. He asked around. Adrian said finally, About you. Her chest tightened. And? And he learned. Learned what? Adrian turned off the water, dried his hands carefully. That you're not available. The words landed softly, but they carried weight. I never said that, Emma replied. You didn't have to. Her pulse quickened. Adrian. Her voice was quieter now, more searching. Did you threaten him? He stepped closer, close enough that she felt the warmth of him again. I don't threaten, he said. It wasn't defensive. It was factual. Then what did you do? She whispered. His eyes held her steadily. I made sure he understood the situation. The room felt smaller. What situation? A long silence passed. Then, that you're not someone men experiment with. Her heart beat harder. And who decided that? She asked. His expression softened slightly. I did. Not possessive in tone. Not aggressive. Just final. Emma swallowed. You don't own me. His gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then back to her eyes. I know. A quiet pause. But I won't let anyone treat you like you're temporary. Her breath caught. There it was again. That dangerous mix. Control. Protection. Certainty. She should push him away. She should tell him to stop. Instead, she found herself asking the question she shouldn't. What exactly did you tell him? Adrian's jaw shifted slightly. Enough. Silence wrapped around them. And somewhere deep inside, Emma understood something clearly. Ryan hadn't lost interest. He'd been warned. And Adrian didn't need to raise his voice to make a man step back. It was a quiet night. Emma had woken up suddenly. No noise. No dream. Just a feeling. Her room was dark except for the faint glow of the street light outside. She rolled over and checked her phone. 1:16 a.m. She exhaled slowly. Then she heard it. An engine. Low. Idle. Not speeding past. Waiting. Her stomach tightened. She slid out of bed and moved toward the window. Slowly. Carefully. She told herself not to be dramatic. It was probably a neighbor. Probably someone lost. Probably nothing. The clock on her phone shifted. 1:17. Her breath caught. She pushed the curtain aside just enough to see. A dark sedan sat across the street. Headlights off. Engine running. Still. Her pulse began to pound. The car didn't move. Didn't signal. Didn't flash lights. It just sat there. Watching. After a full minute, it drove away. Not fast. Not slow. Just deliberate. Emma stood there long after it disappeared. Her mind replayed Adrian's words. 1:17 a.m. Every time. The next night, she stayed awake. She told herself she was being ridiculous. She turned off her lamp, lay still, waited. Her phone read 1:15. Her chest felt tight. 1:16. Silence. 1:17. The engine returned. This time she didn't need to check the clock. She felt it in her bones. The same dark sedan. The same stillness. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her phone. She hesitated. Then she called him. It rang once. He answered immediately. His voice was low. "Away, Emma." He hadn't said hello. "It's here," she whispered. A pause. "Stay away from the window." Her heart stuttered. "How do you know I'm outside?" The words hit her like cold air. She moved back from the glass. "Outside where?" she asked. "Two houses down." Her pulse raced. "You were already here?" Silence. Then, "Yes." The engine across the street suddenly cut off. Her breath caught. She heard a car door open. Another door slam. Muffled voices. Too far to understand. Emma's heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear. "Adrian," she whispered. "I see him," he replied calmly. "In—" "Not them." "In—" A long moment passed. Then tires screeched softly against pavement. The dark sedan pulled away quickly this time. Not calm. Not deliberate. Gone. Emma's phone was still pressed to her ear. Her breathing uneven. "Is he leaving?" she asked. "Yes." "What did you do?" A pause. "I spoke to him." Her stomach tightened. "What did you say?" His voice lowered slightly. "I asked why he thought it was a good idea to watch my house." "My house. Not your house." Her pulse skipped. "Adrian, you can't just confront people like that." Silence lingered. Then, "He won't come back tonight." That wasn't reassurance. It was a promise. Minutes later, her bedroom door creaked softly. She turned. Adrian stood in the doorway. He must have come through the front. Her heart thudded harder seeing him in the dark. He looked steady, controlled, not shaken. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. He stepped inside anyway, closed the door behind him. You shouldn't be alone when someone's watching you. He walked toward the window, checked the lock, pulled the curtain closed fully. His movements were precise, intentional. You said this has been happening every night, she said quietly. It has. And you didn't tell me? His jaw shifted slightly. I wanted to be sure first. Sure of what? That it wasn't random. The room felt smaller with him inside it. Safer. More dangerous. Were you really outside already? She asked. Yes. For how long? A small pause. Long enough. Her pulse quickened. You were waiting for him. Yes. The honesty unsettled her. You follow me, she whispered. I protect you. That's not the same thing. His eyes held her steadily. It is to me. Silence settled between them. Heavy. Charged. Emma should have felt violated. Instead she felt guarded. Chosen. Seen. And that terrified her more than the car ever could. As Adrian moved toward the door, she asked the question she couldn't ignore. Adrian, how did he know which window was mine? He stopped, his back still turned to her. A quiet second passed. Then, he didn't. He opened the door, stepped into the hallway, and he won't be back. The door clicked shut. Emma stood alone in the dark, heart racing, because now she didn't know which was worse. The man in the car, or the man who was already waiting for him. After that night, the street had been quiet, still, normal. She almost convinced herself it had all been coincidence. Until 3 nights later. She was brushing her teeth when she heard it. The engine. Well, familiar. Her hand stilled. Slowly, she walked toward the window. She didn't check the time. She already knew. 1:17 a.m. She pulled the curtain back just slightly. The same dark sedan sat across the street. But something was different. The left headlight was shattered. Glass missing. The casing cracked inward. The side mirror hung loose, barely attached. The front bumper carried a deep dent. The engine idled unevenly now, not smooth like before. Her stomach twisted. The car wasn't parked neatly this time. It stopped for only a few seconds. Long enough to sit there. Long enough to be seen. Then it drove off quickly. Not calm. Not controlled. Gone. Emma stepped back from the window. Her pulse was steady. Too steady. She wasn't as scared as before. That realization unsettled her more than the car itself. Her phone buzzed softly in her hand. She hadn't even remembered picking it up. Adrian. She stared at his name, then answered. Yes, she said quietly. I know, he replied. He always did. You're outside again, she said. Yes. A pause. She swallowed. The car. Yes. Another silence. What happened to it? She asked. His voice didn't change. I imagine he misjudged something. Her heart skipped. Like what? A curb, a post, a bad decision. The calmness in his tone made her chest tighten. You spoke to him again, she said. Yes. What did you say? A long pause. Then, I explained the consequences. Her breath caught. Adrian. Her voice was softer now. Less accusing. More searching. You can't just decide things for people. I didn't, he replied evenly. I gave him a choice. What choice? Silence. Then, to leave. Her pulse quickened. And if he didn't? Another pause. He did. Minutes later, her bedroom door opened quietly. He stepped inside, like he belonged there. He checked the window first, the lock, the frame. Then he turned to her. His expression was unreadable. "You shouldn't get used to this," she said. "To what?" "To handling everything." He studied her. "I handle what threatens you." "And if you're the threat?" she asked softly. The question hung between them. For the first time, something shifted in his eyes. Not anger, not hurt, something darker. "I've never been your threat," he said quietly. He stepped closer. "Not touching, never touching. You're the only thing I've ever protected." Her throat tightened. "From who?" His gaze didn't waver. "From anyone who thinks they can take something that isn't theirs." The words were controlled, measured, possessive without shouting. Emma felt it again, that dangerous pull, because the car didn't scare her anymore. But Adrian did. Not because he was loud, not because he was violent, but because he never lost control. And she was starting to realize something slowly. The man in the sedan had been watching her. But Adrian had been waiting. It started with something small. Emma was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone. Adrian leaned against the counter across from her, quiet, observing. "You didn't like the blue dress," he said casually. She looked up. "What?" "The one you tried on yesterday." Her stomach tightened. "I didn't show you that." He didn't blink. "You posted it." "No, I didn't." A small pause. Then she realized she had uploaded it to her private story. 23 followers. Close friends only. Adrian wasn't on that list. Her fingers went cold. "How did you see it?" she asked. His expression didn't change. "You forget how connected everything is." That wasn't an answer. "That doesn't explain it." He didn't respond. Instead, he stepped closer and tilted his head slightly. "The green one looks better on you," he added calmly. Her pulse quickened. She had tried the green one on too, in the dressing room, with the door closed. She hadn't posted that one anywhere. She swallowed. "You weren't at the mall," she said carefully. "No." "Then how do you know?" A quiet second passed. His gaze softened slightly. "I notice things." Her heart began to race. "That's not noticing," she whispered. "That's knowing." He studied her face, as if deciding how much to say. "You checked your phone 12 times while you were there," he continued evenly. "You stood near the window in the third store for almost 10 minutes." Her breath caught. "You followed me." "I stayed nearby." "That's the same thing." His jaw shifted slightly. "No, following is about control. Staying nearby is about safety." She took a step back. "You were there the whole time?" "Yes." The honesty unsettled her. "Why?" "Because you were alone." Her heart pounded harder. "I'm allowed to be alone." His eyes darkened slightly. "You shouldn't have to be." Silence filled the kitchen. Heavy. Charged. She searched his face for guilt, for apology, for something unstable. There was none. Just certainty. "You knew about the cafe," she said slowly. "You knew about Ryan." "Yes." "You knew about the car." "Yes." Her throat tightened. "What else do you know?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped closer, close enough that she felt his warmth, still not touching. "I know you lock your door twice when you're anxious," he said quietly. Her pulse stumbled. "I know you sleep on your left side when you're stressed." Her breathing became uneven. "I know you check your phone before you fall asleep, even when there are no messages." She stared at him, frozen. That's not normal, she whispered. His expression didn't harden. It softened. You think I don't know that? The calmness in his voice made it worse. You've been watching me for how long? She asked. A pause. His gaze didn't waver. Long enough. That's not an answer. Another pause. Years. The word landed between them like something fragile and sharp. Her chest tightened. Since when? He looked at her the way he always did. Focus. In 10. Since you stopped being a kid. The room felt smaller. Her thoughts tangled. You never said anything. You weren't ready. Her pulse pounded in her ears. And now I am. He held her gaze steadily. Yes. The certainty in his voice made her breath catch. Not because it was loud. Not because it was threatening. But because he believed it. Completely. You don't get to decide that, she whispered. His expression shifted slightly. Not anger. Something deeper. I don't decide for you, he said quietly. I wait. Her heart skipped. For what? For you to notice. Silence wrapped around them. And for the first time, Emma realized something terrifying. He wasn't escalating. He wasn't spiraling. He had been patient. And patience is far more dangerous than obsession. After that conversation, something changed. Not loudly. Not suddenly. Just subtly. Emma became aware of Adrian in a different way. Before, she noticed where he was. Now she noticed how close he stood. How his voice lowered when he spoke only to her. How his gaze lingered half a second too long before looking away. And the most unsettling part, he never touched her. Not once. That evening, the house was quiet. Her brother had gone out. Her mother was working late again. Emma stood on a chair in the kitchen, reaching for a glass on the top shelf. Her fingers brushed the edge. Miss, the chair wobbled slightly. Before she could steady herself, a hand closed firmly around the glass above her. Strong, certain. Adrian. He had walked in so quietly she hadn't heard him. He set the glass down on the counter beside her. Then his hands moved to her waist. Not gripping. Not pulling. Just steadying her as she stepped down. Her breath caught. His hands lingered half a second longer than necessary. Then released. But the warmth stayed. She turned slowly. He was close. Too close. Close enough that she could see the faint shadow along his jaw, the small scar near his eyebrow, the steady rhythm of his breathing. You should ask, he said quietly. Her voice felt softer when she answered. I could reach it. You almost didn't. A pause. Neither of them moved. Neither stepped back. The air between them felt charged like something invisible was pulling tight. Emma swallowed. You don't always have to be there, she whispered. His eyes searched her face. Yes, he said calmly. I do. Her pulse quickened. That sounds exhausting. His gaze softened. Not when it's you. Silence filled the kitchen. Heavy, warm, dangerous. Emma became suddenly aware of everything. How close his chest was to hers. How steady his breathing remained. How her own was not steady at all. If I asked you to stop watching me, she said slowly, carefully, would you? His answer came immediately. No, not harsh, not defensive, just honest. Her heart skipped. Why not? A quiet pause. Then, because I don't know how to exist in a world where you're unprotected. The words landed softly, but they wrapped around her chest like warmth, like pressure. She should step back. She didn't. Protected from what? She whispered. His gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then lifted again. From anything that might take you away from me. The world felt very small suddenly. Very quiet. Emma's fingers curled slightly at her sides. You talk like I already belong to you. His voice lowered further. You always did. Her breath caught. The words should have frightened her. Instead, something inside her chest tightened in a completely different way. Slow, heavy, pulling. She became aware of how close his face was now. If either of them leaned forward, just slightly, the thought sent heat rushing through her. Adrian didn't move. He just watched her, waiting, always waiting. And that patience, that restraint, was more intimate than touch. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. Why haven't you ever crossed the line? His expression changed slightly, something deeper surfacing. Because once I do, he said quietly, everything changes. Her pulse pounded. And you don't want that? A long pause. His gaze held hers completely. I want it more than anything. Her breath stopped. Then why wait? His voice softened, almost rough now. Because I want you to step toward me first. Silence. Electric. Fragile. Emma could hear her own heartbeat. Feel the space between them like a living thing. He wasn't taking. He wasn't forcing. He was waiting. And suddenly she understood. The power wasn't in his control. It was in his restraint. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Emma stood by the living room window, staring out at the dark street. Nothing moved. No cars. No sound. Just stillness. She didn't turn when she heard Adrian enter. She knew it was him. She always knew. He stopped a few feet behind her, not speaking, not moving closer. Just there. Can't sleep? He asked softly. His voice was low, warmer than usual. Emma shook her head slightly. No. A pause settled between them. Heavy, comfortable, dangerous. You're thinking, he said. It wasn't a question. She turned slowly. He stood close enough that she didn't need to step forward to reach him. But she didn't step back either. That's what you wanted, isn't it? She asked quietly. For me to notice. His gaze held her steadily. Yes. The silence stretched. Neither looked away. Emma's chest rose slowly, then fell. Her voice came out softer than she meant it to. I don't understand what's happening to me. His expression shifted slightly. Something gentler. You don't have to understand it, he said. Her pulse quickened. That's easy for you to say. Why? Because you've known for years. The words hung between them. He didn't deny it. Emma swallowed. Does it ever stop? She whispered. His voice dropped even lower. No. Her breath trembled slightly. That should scare me. It should. But it doesn't, she admitted. Something in his eyes changed, darkened, deepened. The air between them tightened. Emma became aware of everything at once. How close he stood. How steady his breathing was. How warm the space between them felt. She didn't remember moving. But suddenly she was closer. Close enough to see the faint tension in his jaw. Close enough to feel his breath against her cheek. Adrian didn't move. But his voice was rougher now. Emma, just her name. A warning. Or permission. She wasn't sure. Her eyes dropped to his mouth. Then lifted again. He noticed. Of course he noticed. His breathing changed. Just slightly. That tiny shift made her heart race. If I step closer, she whispered, will you stop me? His answer came slowly. Carefully. No. The word settled between them like heat. Emma's fingers curled at her sides. Then slowly, carefully. She leaned forward. Just a little. Adrian's hand lifted. Not touching her. Hovering near her waist. like he was giving himself one last chance to pull away. He didn't. Their faces were inches apart now, breath mingling, shared air. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. His gaze dropped to her lips, then returned to her eyes. Waiting, always waiting. Emma closed the distance. Slowly, carefully, almost. The front door slammed open. The sound shattered the silence. Emma jerked back instantly. Her brother's voice echoed through the house. Emma, you still awake? The moment snapped. Gone. Broken. Emma's breathing was uneven, her chest tight. Adrian stepped back immediately. Distance restored. Control restored. But his eyes still held that unfinished moment. Her brother walked into the hallway, unaware. Hey, he said casually. Didn't know you were both up. Emma couldn't speak. Adrian answered smoothly. Just talking. Calm. Normal. Untouched. Her brother nodded and disappeared toward the kitchen. Silence returned. But it wasn't the same silence. Emma looked at Adrian, her voice barely above a whisper. That almost happened. His gaze held hers. Steady. Intense. Yes. Her pulse pounded. What would you have done if he didn't walk in? A long pause. Then, I wouldn't have stopped you. Her breath caught. He turned slightly, creating space again, control again. But his voice followed her softly. Next time, he said quietly, no one interrupts. Emma didn't sleep. She tried. She lay on her side, then on her back, then facing the wall. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw it, the space between them, the way his breath had warmed her skin, the way he hadn't moved first. That was the worst part. He hadn't chased. He hadn't taken. He had waited. Her fingers brushed her own lips unconsciously. They still felt warm, still aware. What would you have done if he didn't walk in? She had asked it, and he hadn't hesitated. I wouldn't have stopped you. Her stomach tightened. That wasn't dominance. That wasn't force. That was permission. And permission was far more dangerous. The next morning, she avoided the kitchen, avoided the living room, avoided anywhere she might run into him. But avoidance didn't help, because he was in her head now, in the smallest things. When she poured coffee, when she checked her phone, when she caught herself staring at the doorway without realizing why. By afternoon, she was restless, pacing, thinking, replaying. She kept remembering the way his hand had hovered near her waist, not grabbing, not claiming, just there, like he trusted her to decide. That trust unsettled her more than possession would have. Her phone buzzed. A message from Adrian. You didn't eat breakfast. Her breath caught. She stared at the screen. How does he know that? Another message followed. Kitchen camera. Her pulse quickened. She had forgotten about that. Her brother had installed it months ago. For security. Adrian had help. Of course he had. She tied back before she could stop herself. Stop watching me. The reply came seconds later. Then stop giving me reasons to. Her heart skipped. That wasn't playful. It wasn't teasing. It was steady. Certain. She tossed her phone onto the bed. But she couldn't ignore the pull. By evening, she heard his footsteps in the hallway. Measure. Unhurried. Her chest tightened. He paused outside her door. Knocked once. Soft. She didn't answer immediately. But she didn't tell him to go away either. The door opened slowly. He stepped inside, not crossing the room, just standing there. There was tension in the air. "I'm finished. You're avoiding me," he said calmly. "I'm thinking," she replied. His eyes searched her face. "About?" She swallowed. "What almost happened?" Silence settled between them. Heavy. His voice lowered. "It didn't almost happen." Her pulse stumbled. "What?" "You chose it," he said quietly. The words hit deeper than she expected. "I didn't plan to. You didn't have to." Her breathing grew uneven. "You make it sound simple." "It is." She shook her head. "It's not simple." His gaze softened slightly. "Emma." Just her name. And suddenly the room felt smaller again. She stepped closer without realizing. Not as close as last night, but closer. "You said you wouldn't have stopped me," she whispered. "I wouldn't have." Her heart pounded. "Why?" His jaw tightened slightly. "Because I've wanted to kiss you for years." The confession settled in the space between them. Quiet. Unapologetic. She felt it in her chest. Low. Heavy. "Years?" she breathed. "Yes." "Since when?" His gaze didn't waver. "Since I realized you weren't a child anymore." Her pulse raced. "That's a long time to wait." His voice dropped slightly. "I don't rush things that matter." The air felt charged again. Alive. She stepped closer, this time deliberately. Testing. Her voice barely a whisper. "If I kissed you now, would it change everything?" His eyes darkened. "Yes." Her breath trembled. "In a bad way?" A pause. "No." The silence stretched, thick with possibility. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't pressured. She was aware, completely aware, and that was what made it intense. He wasn't taking from her. He was offering something steady, something patient, something that had been building for years. And suddenly she realized something that made her stomach tighten. She didn't want to almost kiss him. She wanted to actually do it. And that scared her more than anything else. The house was quiet again. Late, soft light from the kitchen spilling into the hallway. Adrian stood near the counter, sleeves rolled up, hands resting loosely against the edge, watching her, not intensely, not possessively, just waiting. She walked toward him slowly, not dramatic, not rush, each step deliberate. He noticed immediately. His posture straightened slightly. "Emma," he said softly. It wasn't a warning this time. It wasn't restraint. It was acknowledgement. She stopped in front of him, close enough to feel his warmth, close enough to hear the subtle shift in his breathing. "You said you'd wait," she said quietly. "I will." Her heart pounded. "But I don't want you to." A small pause. Something changed in his expression. Not control. Not calculation. "Help?" "You're sure?" he asked. He had never asked before. That was new. That mattered. Emma nodded once. Slow. Deliberate. "I'm not confused anymore." Silence wrapped around them, heavy with everything unsaid. His hand lifted carefully. Not grabbing. Not pulling. Just brushing a loose strand of hair away from her face. His fingers lingered near her cheek. Warm. Steady. Her breath trembled. "If we do this," he said quietly, "there's no going back." Her pulse raced. "I know." He searched her eyes one last time, looking for hesitation, finding none. And this time, he closed the distance, slowly, giving her time to change her mind. She didn't. His lips brushed hers gently at first, soft, careful, like he was handling something fragile. Emma's fingers curled lightly into the fabric of his shirt. He felt it, deepened the kiss slightly, still controlled, still measured, but no longer restrained. The years of waiting were there, not aggressive, not rush, just intense. His hand settled at her waist, firm now, certain. Her breath hitched softly against his mouth. The world outside the kitchen faded. No car, no brother, no tension, just warmth, just closeness, just the slow realization that this had been building long before either of them admitted it. When they finally pulled apart, it wasn't abrupt. It was gradual, reluctant. His forehead rested lightly against hers, both of them breathing unevenly. "You taste like coffee," he murmured quietly. A small smile touched her lips. "That's your fault." His thumb brushed lightly along her waist. Slow, absent-minded, almost possessive, but softer now. Different. "This changes things," she whispered. "Yes," he agreed. Her pulse slowed slightly. "But it doesn't feel wrong." His gaze softened. It never was. Silence settled again, not heavy this time. Comfortable. Warm. Emma realized something slowly. The fear she once felt about him watching her. It didn't feel the same anymore. Because now she understood. He hadn't been waiting to take something. He had been waiting to be chosen. And she had chosen him. Adrian leaned down once more. This time, the kiss was deeper, less careful, more certain. And for the first time since the car, since the jealousy, since the waiting, there was no tension in the air, only inevitability. They didn't talk about it right away, about what the kiss meant, about what they were now. They just moved differently, more aware, more careful. Emma felt that the next morning, Adrian was in the kitchen with her brother, coffee mug in hand, laughing at something ordinary, normal, completely normal. Except his eyes flickered to her when she walked in, just for a second, and that second held everything. Her pulse warmed instantly. Her brother didn't notice. He kept talking, oblivious. Emma reached for a glass from the cabinet. Adrian stepped slightly closer as she passed, not touching, not obviously, but his fingers brushed the inside of her wrist. Light, intentional, gone before anyone could see. Her breath hitched softly. Her brother kept talking, still unaware. That was when Emma understood. This was dangerous in a completely new way. Later that night, her brother left to meet friends. The house fell quiet. Emma barely had time to close her bedroom door before Adrian was there. He did not this time. He stepped inside slowly, like he had every right. "Door," she whispered. He turned and locked it without a word. The click echoed louder than it should have. Her heart raced, not from fear, from awareness. He stood a few feet away from her, watching. The air between them felt different now. No more almost. No more waiting. "You were reckless this morning," he said quietly. "I barely touched you." "You touched me," she replied. His jaw tightened slightly. "That's the problem." A small smile curved her lips. "Are you worried?" "Yes." The answer was immediate. Not teasing. Not playful. Serious. "If he finds out," Adrian continued, "he won't see this the way we do." Emma swallowed. "We haven't even defined what this is." He stepped closer, slowly. "You want me to?" he asked. Her pulse quickened. "Yes." His gaze softened slightly. "You're not temporary." The word settled deep in her chest. "I don't do temporary." Her breathing shifted. "And what do you do?" His hand lifted. This time he didn't hesitate. He brushed his fingers along her jaw gently, thumb tracing just beneath her ear. I choose, he said quietly, and I don't unchoose. Heat moved through her slowly. That sounds permanent. It is. Silence wrapped around them. He wasn't joking. He wasn't flirting. He was stating something that had already existed long before the kiss. Emma stepped closer, this time deliberately. Her hands rested lightly against his chest. You're very sure, she whispered. I've had years to be. His hand slid from her jaw to her waist. Firm now. Protective. Not possessive in a loud way. Possessive in a steady way. If we do this, she said softly, we do it carefully. Yes. No slipping. No mistakes. No one knowing. His thumb pressed gently into her waist. Especially him. Her brother. The word didn't need to be spoken. Emma nodded. And if he finds out? She asked. Adrian's expression shifted slightly. Something harder flickered beneath the surface. Then I handle it. She searched his face. You don't get to handle everything. He leaned down slightly, close enough that his voice brushed her skin. When it comes to you, I do. Her breath trembled. That's not fair. His lips hovered near hers. Fair isn't the point. The kiss this time wasn't hesitant. It wasn't testing. It was certain. Deeper. His hand held her firmly at the waist, not controlling, anchoring. She felt the weight of his years of waiting in the way he kissed her. Slow, intentional, a rush. When he pulled back, his forehead rested lightly against hers again. You don't hide something unless you're afraid of losing it, he said quietly. Her heart skipped. Are you afraid? She whispered. A long pause. Then, yes. That single word changed something inside her. Because Adrian didn't fear many things, but he feared losing her. And that made the secret feel real. Not reckless. Not impulsive. Real. On a Tuesday afternoon, Emma had gone to the bookstore near campus. Quiet place. Soft music. Rows of shelves. Safe. She wandered slowly, flipping through pages, letting herself relax. For once, Adrian wasn't there. Or so she thought. A man approached her near the fiction section. Mid-30s. Polite smile. Excuse me, he said gently. Do you know where the history section is? She pointed toward the back. That aisle, I think. He thanked her. Normal interaction. Brief. Harmless. Emma forgot about it within seconds. Until she stepped outside 20 minutes later. Adrian was waiting beside her car. Arms crossed. Still. Her heart skipped. You didn't tell me you were coming here, she said. His gaze moved past her shoulder, scanning the street. You spoke to him, he replied. Her stomach tightened. To who? The man in the bookstore. Her pulse quickened. He asked for directions. You smiled at him. The words were quiet, controlled, but too precise. Emma stared at him. You were inside. Yes. Her chest tightened. Why? You were alone. Frustration rose slowly. I was buying a book, Adrian. His jaw shifted slightly. He stood too close. He asked a question. He watched you walk away. Emma stepped closer, searching his face. What did you do? Silence. That silence told her everything. Adrian. Her voice was firmer now. What did you do? His eyes met her steadily. I made sure he understood boundaries. Her stomach dropped. You spoke to him? Yes. About what? A pause. Then, you. Her heartbeat grew uneven. That's not okay. His expression didn't change. He won't approach you again. That wasn't his intention in the first place. Adrian stepped closer, not aggressive, just certain. You don't know that. I do, she insisted. People talk to each other. That's normal. His voice lowered. Not when they look at you like that. Her breath caught. Like what? Like they're curious. The word sounded like a problem. Like curiosity itself was dangerous. Emma felt something twist in her chest. You scared him, didn't you? A long pause. Then, yes. The honesty stunned her. You can't do that, she whispered. I already did. Her heart pounded. That's crossing the line. His gaze softened slightly. There is no line when it comes to you. The words landed heavy. Too heavy. Emma took a step back. That's not protection, she said quietly. That's control. For the first time, something flickered in his expression. Not anger, not regret. Something conflicted. I won't apologize for keeping you safe, he said. I wasn't unsafe. His voice dropped even lower. You were alone with a stranger. That happens every day. Not to you. Silence wrapped tightly around them. Emma searched his face, trying to understand, trying to reach him. You can't remove every person who talks to me, she said softly. His gaze didn't waver. I don't remove everyone. Her pulse skipped. Just the ones who notice you. The world felt suddenly very still. That was the moment she understood something clearly. Adrian didn't just protect her from threats. He protected her from possibility, from attention, from being seen by anyone else. Her voice was quieter now, more careful. Adrian, what happens when someone doesn't listen to you? A pause. Long, heavy. Then, they always do. Her breath slowed, not with calm, with realization. She wasn't afraid of him. Not exactly. But she was beginning to understand the scale of what loving her meant to him. And it was bigger than she had imagined. That night, he stood outside her bedroom door longer than usual. Not entering. Just there. When she finally opened it, he looked almost unsettled. You're angry, he said quietly. I'm thinking, she replied. A pause. Then he stepped closer. Carefully this time, as if approaching something fragile. I don't want to frighten you, he said. Her chest tightened. You don't, she answered honestly. You make me aware. His gaze softened. That's better than careless. She studied him. You really believe everything you do is necessary? Yes. No hesitation. That certainty both warmed and unsettled her. She stepped closer slowly, her fingers resting lightly against his chest. Grounding. Testing. You have to learn where the line is, she whispered. His voice was low. Show me. Silence. Then she leaned forward and kissed him gently. Not surrender. Not distraction. A boundary wrapped in softness. His hand settled at her waist carefully. More restrained this time. More aware. When they parted, his forehead rested against hers. I don't want to lose you, he murmured. Her heart softened. You won't, she said quietly. But you might lose me if you push the world too far away. That time, he didn't answer immediately. And that silence mattered. Because for the first time, he was considering it. Adrian hadn't moved. He was still standing in the hallway when Emma closed her door. The house was silent, the kind of silence that magnified every thought. He stared at the wood panel in front of him, breathing steady, jaw tight. She had said he might lose her, not in anger, not as a threat, as truth. That unsettled him more than anything else had. Inside the room, Emma leaned against the door, heart racing, not afraid, not distant, just aware that she had finally pushed back. For the first time since they kissed, she had drawn a line, and he hadn't immediately stepped over it. A soft knock followed. Controlled. Measure. Emma. His voice was lower now, less certain. She opened the door slowly. He stood there, but not close this time, not crowding her. I've never had to think about this before, he admitted quietly. Her chest tightened. About what? About where protection ends. That was new. Honesty without certainty. She stepped aside, letting him in. The air felt softer than before, less charged, more vulnerable. You scare people, she said gently. I know. You don't scare me. His eyes searched hers carefully. That's what I'm afraid of. The admission sat heavy between them, because now she understood. He wasn't afraid of losing control. He was afraid of losing her trust. Why are you like this? She asked softly. He hesitated. For the first time genuinely hesitated. Because when I was younger, he said slowly, no one watched out for me. The room felt still, quieter than before. I learned that if you don't handle things yourself, no one will. Her heart softened. That doesn't mean you have to handle everything now. He stepped closer, slowly, carefully. I don't know how to do it differently. That was the first crack in his certainty, the first real vulnerability. Emma reached for his hand, laced her fingers with his. You learn, she whispered, with me. His thumb brushed against her knuckles, gentler than it had ever been. Say, she said quietly. It wasn't a command. It was an invitation. And this time, he didn't hover near the doorway. He sat beside her, not as a guardian, not as a shadow, just as someone who didn't want to lose what he had finally been given. It was past midnight when Emma heard the back door close. Soft, controlled. She was sitting on her bedroom floor, back against the bed, lights off, waiting, not anxiously, just knowing. A few seconds later, there was a quiet knock. She opened the door without asking who it was. Adrian stood there, less composed than usual, not shaken, but thinking. You don't sleep much, she said softly. He stepped inside, closed the door behind him. I do, he replied, just not easily. She watched him carefully. Something felt different tonight. Not tense, not jealous, heavy. He sat on the edge of her bed instead of standing near the wall like he usually did. That alone told her something was shifting. You were quiet earlier, she said. He nodded once. I was thinking about what you said. About pushing the world away? Yes. Silence settled between them. He rested his forearms on his knees, hands loosely clasped. For a long time, he said slowly, I didn't have anyone to lose. Her chest tightened slightly. He rarely spoke about himself. My dad left when I was 8, he continued evenly. My mom worked nights, slept during the day. We barely crossed paths. His tone wasn't bitter. It was factual. After a while I stopped expecting anyone to stay. Emma moved closer quietly, not interrupting, just listening. I learned early, he said, that if something mattered you guarded it. Her throat tightened. And nothing mattered? He looked at her then, his expression softer than she had ever seen it. Not until you. The words didn't come out dramatic. They came out certain. You were loud, he said quietly. She blinked. Loud. You laughed too much, talked too much, trusted too easily. A faint smile touched his mouth. It irritated me. She almost laughed. Why? Because you weren't careful. The smile faded slightly. And I knew what happens when you aren't careful. The air shifted. She could hear something beneath the surface now, something unspoken. There was someone, he said after a pause. Her pulse slowed. Who? A kid in my neighborhood, he answered. We used to hang around the same group. He didn't look at her now. His jaw tightened slightly. He trusted the wrong people. Silence stretched. They beat him badly, Adrian continued. Left him in an alley. Emma's chest tightened. Did he? He survived, Adrian said, but he was never the same. His fingers flexed slightly. I told him to stay home that night. Her breath caught. He didn't listen. The guilt wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, embedded. I decided after that, Adrian said slowly, that if I ever cared about someone, I wouldn't leave space for risk. Emma understood then. This wasn't about dominance. It wasn't about ego. It was about fear of preventable loss. You can't prevent everything, she whispered. I know. But the way he said it made it clear. He didn't fully believe it. She reached for his hand, laced her fingers through his. You don't get to rewrite the world because it hurt you once, she said gently. His eyes searched hers. And you don't get to pretend the world is harmless. A soft pause. Neither was wrong. That was the problem. You don't have to guard me like I'm breakable, she said quietly. His thumb brushed over her knuckles. I know you're not breakable. Then why treat me like I am? His voice dropped. Because I finally have something worth losing. That was the truth. Not obsession. Not control. Here. Emma moved closer, resting her forehead lightly against his. You don't lose me because someone talks to me, she whispered. His breathing shifted. I'm trying to learn that. The admission felt real. Not perfect. Not resolved. But real. She kissed him gently. Not heated. Not desperate. Just grounding. When she pulled back, his hand rested at her waist again. Less tight than before. Less guarded. You don't have to stand outside my door every night, she murmured. He hesitated. Then, okay. That single word mattered more than any promise, because it meant he was trying, and for someone who had survived by control. Trying was the bravest thing he had done yet. It was late afternoon when Emma decided not to tell him. Not as a secret. Not as a game. Just as practice. She was meeting two friends for coffee. A public place. Bright windows. Crowded tables. Safe. She picked up her phone twice to text Adrian. Then stopped. He had said he would try. So she would give him the space to try. The cafe buzzed with quiet conversation. Emma relaxed into it. For once, she wasn't scanning the door, wasn't wondering where he stood, wasn't feeling watch. It felt light. 40 minutes passed. She laughed. She ordered another drink. She forgot to check her phone. That was when it buzzed. Adrian. Home. Her stomach tightened slightly. She typed back. No, coffee with Maya and Jess. The typing bubble appeared immediately. Pause. Disappeared. Appeared again. How long? She exhaled slowly. Not sure. This time, the typing bubble stayed longer. Then, okay. Just that. Okay. She stared at it. It shouldn't feel monumental. But it did. He didn't ask where. He didn't ask who else was there. He didn't show up. He just said okay. It was early evening when she walked back to her car. The sky dimming. Streetlights flickering on. Her phone buzzed again. Text me when you get in. That felt different. Less surveillance. More concern. She smiled slightly. When she reached her car, she froze. A man stood near the sidewalk. talking loudly on his phone. Too loud. Too close. Her pulse shifted. He wasn't looking at her, but he wasn't moving either. Emma unlocked her car, got in quickly, locked the doors. Her hands trembled slightly. The man glanced over once, briefly, then looked away. Nothing happened. No confrontation. No threat. Just discomfort. She started the engine. Then pause. She could text Adrian. Tell him. Let him come. Let him handle it. But she didn't. She drove home. It was just after sunset when she walked into the house. Adrian stood in the kitchen. He looked up immediately. Relief flickered across his face before he hid it. "You're late," he said softly. "Traffic." He studied her for a second longer than usual. "You okay?" She hesitated. Just for a second. Then, "Yes." He nodded once. That should have been the end of it. But he stepped closer. Not hovering. Not controlling. Just reading her. "Something happened," he said quietly. Her heart skipped. "How do you know?" "You're holding your keys too tight." She glanced down. Her knuckles were pale. He noticed everything. "There was a guy near my car," she admitted finally. His jaw tightened instantly. "Did he touch you?" "No." "Speak to you?" "No." "Follow you?" "No." The questions came quickly, controlled, but sharp. "It was nothing," she said gently. He went still. Too still. "It wasn't nothing," he replied. "It made you tense." She stepped closer, testing him. "You said you were trying." He exhaled slowly, through his nose. "Measure." "I am." "Then don't go looking for him." Silence filled the kitchen. Heavy. He held her gaze. Struggling. She could see it. The instinct to move. To find. To eliminate. And then, he nodded. Once. "I won't." Her pulse softened slightly. "You're sure?" His jaw flexed. "Yes." The word sounded forced. But it was there. That mattered. She reached for his hand. "Thank you." He stepped closer, hands resting at her waist, gentler than before. "I don't like that you felt unsafe," he murmured. "I wasn't unsafe. You were unsettled." She almost smiled. "You're learning nuance." His lips brushed her forehead, soft, protective, but not claiming. "You should have told me," he said quietly. "I wanted to see if you'd ask." His eyes narrowed slightly. "That's not fair. Neither is watching me forever." A beat passed. Then something shifted in his expression. Not anger. Understanding. "I didn't go to the cafe today," he said. "I know. I wanted to. I know." Silence. Warm this time. "Earn." "And you didn't," she whispered. "No." That small victory felt larger than it should have. Because for Adrian, restraint wasn't natural. It was chosen. And tonight, he chose her trust over his instinct. When he kissed her, it wasn't possessive. It wasn't territorial. It was steady, grounded, and for the first time since the car, Emma didn't feel guarded. She felt partner. It was just after midnight when Emma couldn't sleep again. Not because she was afraid. Because she was aware. Aware of the quiet house. Aware of the space between her room and his. Aware of how different everything felt now. She opened her bedroom door softly. The hallway was dim. Only the faint light from the kitchen at the end. He was there. Of course he was. Standing by the sink, drinking water. Like he had sensed her. His eyes lifted immediately. They held for a second longer than usual. "You're awake," he said quietly. "So are you." A pause. Neither moved at first. Then she walked toward him, slowly, barefoot against the cool floor. He watched every step, not predatory, not impatient. Focus. She stopped close enough to feel the warmth radiating from him. "You said you don't sleep easily," she murmured. "I don't, because of me." His jaw tightened slightly. "Yes." The honesty made her pulse skip. "Is that a complaint?" she asked softly. "No." The word came almost rough. "Then what is it?" He stepped closer, carefully. "You're always in my head." The air shifted instantly. Heavy. Charged. "That sounds unhealthy," she whispered. "It probably is." His hand lifted slowly, brushed a strand of hair from her shoulder, fingers grazing her collarbone. Intentional, not accidental. Her breath caught. "You don't seem concerned," she said. "I'm not." Silence wrapped around them, the kind that vibrated. Her hand rested lightly against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm beneath her palm. "You're calmer lately," she said. "I'm trying." "And if I stop you from trying?" she asked quietly. His eyes darkened slightly. "How?" Instead of answering, she stepped closer, close enough that her body aligned with his, close enough that there was no more air between them. His breathing changed, just slightly. "You always wait," she whispered. "Yes." "What if I don't want you to?" A long pause. His hand slid slowly to her waist. "Firm now." "Certain." "I won't rush you," he said quietly. "That's not what I asked." The words lingered between them. His thumb pressed gently into her waist, not controlling, anchoring. "You want me to lose control?" he asked softly. Her pulse pounded. "I want to see what happens if you do." The tension sharpened. His restraint thinned. She could feel it. He leaned down slowly, not kissing yet, just hovering, his lips inches from hers. "You wouldn't like that," he murmured. "Why?" "Because I don't lose halfway." The statement wasn't threatening. It was honest. Heat spread through her slowly. "Then don't lose," she whispered. "Choose." That did something to him. She felt it in the way his hand tightened slightly at her waist, in the way his breathing deepened. He kissed her. Not gentle this time, not hesitant. Slow, deep, certain. Her fingers tangled in his shirt, pulling him closer. His hand slid higher along her back, still controlled, but no longer distant. The kiss wasn't rushed. It wasn't wild. It was deliberate, like he was finally allowing himself what he had denied for years. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. His voice was lower now, rougher. "You don't understand what you do to me," he said. Her breathing was uneven. "Explain." His hand moved from her back to cup her jaw gently. "If I stop waiting," he murmured, "I don't do it halfway." Her stomach tightened. "That's not an answer." His eyes held hers completely. "It means when I choose you," he said quietly, "I don't let go." The word settled heavily. "Not possessive. Not loud. Final." She didn't step back. Instead, she whispered, "Then don't." And this time when he kissed her again, he didn't hesitate at all. It was deep into the night when the house finally settled into silence. No footsteps. No doors. No distant sounds from the street. Just stillness. Emma hadn't moved far after the kiss. Neither had Adrian. They stood in the dim kitchen light, close enough that separating would feel deliberate and natural. His hand still rested at her waist, not gripping, not holding her in place. Just there, warm, Steady. Her fingers remained curled in his shirt. She could feel his breathing now, slower than before, but heavier, aware. Neither spoke. The quiet stretch, not awkward, not tense. Oh, charged with everything they weren't saying. Emma's voice came out soft. Are you thinking again? His thumb traced a slow line along her side. Yes. About what? A pause. About how easy it would be to forget restraint. Her pulse skipped. And why don't you? His gaze held hers completely. Because once I stop, I don't stop halfway. The word settled low in her chest. Heavy, certain. She swallowed. You keep saying that. His hand slid slightly higher along her back. Still controlled. Still careful. Because I need you to understand it. Her breath felt warmer, now shallower. I think I do. A long silence followed. Then she rested her forehead against his chest. Not dramatic. Just leaning. Listening to his heartbeat. It was steady, but strong. His arms closed around her slowly. Not sudden. Not tight. Just enough to hold her fully against him. For a moment, neither moved. They simply stood there, feeling each other breathe, feeling warmth, feeling closeness that had nothing to do with urgency and everything to do with presence. Emma spoke softly against his chest. You've waited years. Yes. Was it worth it? His answer came immediately. Yes. No hesitation. No doubt. Her arm slid around his waist, holding him back just as firmly now. That was new. That mutual holding. He noticed. His chin rested lightly against the top of her head. For someone who controlled everything. He was very still, very careful. Like this simple closeness mattered more than anything physical. After a while, she lifted her face. Their eyes met again, closer than before, calmer but deeper. Her hand rose slowly to his jaw, tracing the faint roughness there. He didn't move, didn't speak, just watched her. Let her explore the space between them. Her fingers brushed the back of his neck, warm skin beneath her touch. His breathing shifted, not losing control, just responding. Emma, he said quietly. A warning again, but softer than before. She didn't pull away. Instead, she kissed him, slow, unhurried, different from before, less testing, more knowing. His hands moved along her back, steady grounding, drawing her closer without urgency. The kiss deepened gradually, not consuming, not overwhelming, just fuller, warmer, like something long restrained finally allowed to exist. When they parted, neither moved away, their faces still close, breaths mingling. His forehead rested lightly against hers. His voice was rougher now, not from loss of control, from feeling. You don't know how difficult this is, he murmured. Her fingers curled gently at the back of his neck. Staying in control? No. A pause. Letting myself have this. Her chest tightened. Why is that hard? His eyes closed briefly. Because if I let myself feel all of it, I won't ever want less. That honesty hit deeper than anything else. She leaned into him again, arms around his shoulders, holding him like she understood. Maybe she did. They stayed like that a long time. No urgency, no escalation, just closeness that felt almost sacred. When he finally spoke again, his voice was quieter than she had ever heard it. You should sleep. She didn't move. You're not leaving. A statement, not a question. He hesitated. Then, no. Something warm settled in her chest. He walked her to her room slowly. No rush. No tension. just presence beside presence. When she sat on the edge of the bed, he remained standing in front of her, watching, memorizing, like every small moment mattered. Her hand slipped into his again. "Stay until I fall asleep," she whispered. He nodded once. He sat beside her, close but not overwhelming, his hand resting lightly over hers. Grounding, steady. Emma lay back slowly, still holding his hand. Her eyes grew heavier, her breathing softer, and Adrian stayed exactly where he was, watching, guarding, but differently now. Not from the doorway, not from the shadows. Beside her, where she could feel him. And just before sleep took her, Emma realized something quietly profound. His protection no longer felt like distance. It felt like presence. And that was far more intimate than anything else they had shared. It was early morning when Emma woke. The sky outside her window was pale, soft light slipping through the curtains. For a second, she forgot. Then she felt it. Warmth. Wait. Presence. Adrian was still there, sitting beside her bed, back against the headboard, one hand resting loosely near hers. He hadn't moved much. She could tell. His shirt was slightly creased, his jaw faintly shadowed. "You didn't leave," she murmured. His eyes opened instantly. He had never been fully asleep. "No." Her chest warmed. "You should have gone to bed." "I'm fine." She studied him quietly. "You stayed the whole night." "Yes." No performance. No pride. Just fact. She pushed herself up slowly, sitting beside him now. Close. The air felt different in the morning. Less charged. More real. More permanent. He reached into his pocket slowly. Not dramatic. Just deliberate. Emma watched him. "What is that?" she asked softly. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he took her hand, turned it palm up. His thumb traced lightly across her skin. Then he slipped something small into her hand. Cold metal. Simple. She looked down. It was a thin silver ring. Not ornate. Not flashy. Plain. Minimal. Her pulse slowed. "What is this?" she whispered. "It was my mom's," he said quietly. She blinked. He rarely mentioned her. "She wore it every day," he continued evenly. "Nothing expensive. Just constant." Emma's throat tightened. "Why are you giving it to me?" His gaze held her steadily. "I'm not asking you for anything." A pause. "I'm choosing." The word settled heavy. Not romanticized. Not dramatic. Certain. "You don't give something like this lightly," she said softly. "I don't do anything lightly with you." Silence filled the space between them. The ring rested in her palm. Small, but weighty. "This isn't about ownership," he added quietly. Her eyes lifted to his. "It's about intention." Her heart pounded gently now. Not from fear. Not from urgency. From realization. "You don't plan on leaving," she murmured. "No." "And if I do?" His jaw shifted slightly. "I'll follow." The answer wasn't possessive. It wasn't threatening. It was steady. She studied him carefully. "You're serious?" "Yes." He took the ring gently from her hand. Pause, watching her face, waiting for resistance. There was none. He slid it slowly onto her finger. Not forcing, not claiming, just placing. It fit, not perfectly, but close enough. The metal felt cool against her skin, permanent in a way words weren't. Her breath trembled slightly. "This is reckless," she whispered. "Probably. And secret. For now." She searched his face. You're not scared? I was scared before, he said quietly, when I didn't know if you'd choose me. A pause. I'm not scared now. Something shifted inside her. He wasn't marking her. He wasn't trapping her. He was anchoring himself. You really don't let go halfway, she murmured. His thumb brushed gently over the ring now resting on her hand. No. The air felt heavier again, but not tense. Grounded. She leaned forward slowly, kissed him softly. Different from the night before. Less fire. More promise. When she pulled back, she whispered, You don't get to push everyone away. His eyes held hers. I won't. You're sure? A long pause. Then, I'll try. That mattered more than the ring, because the ring was intention. Trying was change. He stood slowly, not rushing, not breaking the moment. Hide it, he said quietly. For now. She nodded. The secret settled between them. Not fragile, not weak, but powerful. And as he moved toward the door, she realized something clearly. This wasn't obsession anymore. It wasn't just desire. It was decision. And decisions are harder to undo than feelings. It was late morning when Emma forgot she was wearing it. That was the dangerous part. Not recklessness. Comfort. She was at the kitchen counter, pouring coffee. The house felt ordinary again. Sunlight through the windows. Dishes drying near the sink. Her brother scrolling on his phone at the table. Normal. Too normal. She reached for a mug. The silver ring caught the light. A small flash. Subtle, but visible. Her brother's eyes lifted at the same time. They paused on her hand. Only for a second. But long enough. What's that? He asked casually. Her stomach dropped. What? On your hand. She froze. Just slightly. Adrian wasn't in the room. That made it worse. She forced herself to move naturally. Nothing, she said lightly. Her brother stood up. Walked closer. He grabbed her wrist gently before she could pull back. Since when do you wear rings? Her pulse quickened. It's just something I found. Found? His eyebrows lifted. Where? The lie formed too slowly. I don't know. It's old. He studied it more closely. This doesn't look random. Emma swallowed. It's not a big deal. He released her wrist, but his eyes didn't soften. You dating someone? The question was casual, but the weight beneath it wasn't. Her heart pounded. No, too fast. He noticed. You're acting weird. I'm not. You are. Silence stretch. Heavy. She took a slow breath. It's just a ring. Why hide it then? Because it isn't just a ring. The thought echoed in her chest. Footsteps sounded behind them. Adrian. He entered the kitchen calmly, unbothered. Morning, he said evenly. Her brother turned slightly. You seen this? He asked, nodding toward Emma's hand. Adrian's gaze shifted. It landed on the ring, just for a fraction of a second, then lifted to her face. Nothing in his expression changed. What about it? He asked. Her brother frowned. She's never worn jewelry like that. Adrian leaned against the counter casually. Maybe she's changing. His tone was relaxed, unthreatened, too smooth. Her brother looked between them. You know something? Adrian shrugged slightly. About her ring? No. Emma could feel the tension threading the air. Thin, invisible, but sharp. Her brother stepped back slowly. You two are being weird. Adrian smiled faintly. We're standing in a kitchen. That's not what I mean. Silence lingered. Emma's pulse felt loud in her ears. Her brother studied Adrian more closely now. Then her, then the ring again. Take it off, he said suddenly. The words hit like a spark. What? Emma asked. Take it off. Her throat tightened. Why? Because I said so. The room shifted. Adrian straightened slightly. Not aggressive, but alert. That's not your call, he said calmly. The tone wasn't sharp, but it carried weight. Her brother's eyes narrowed. What did you just say? Adrian didn't raise his voice. She can wear what she wants. Silence cracked between them. Emma felt it immediately. The line had been crossed. Not loudly, but clearly. Her brother looked at her again. Is this about him? Her breath caught. What? No. You're defending her pretty hard, he said to Adrian. Adrian held his gaze. Unflinching. I defend people when they are cornered. The words weren't heated, but they weren't neutral either. Emma stepped between them slightly. It's not that serious, she said quickly. Her brother stared at her, then at the ring, then back at Adrian. Something had shifted in his expression. Suspicion. Not confirmation, but awareness. He stepped back slowly. Take it off, he repeated, quieter now. Not a demand, a warning. Emma hesitated, just for a second. Then she slid the ring off. Slowly, carefully, placed it in her pocket. The air loosened slightly. But something had changed. Her brother watched them both a moment longer, then walked out of the kitchen without another word. Silence remained. Heavy. Emma didn't look at Adrian immediately. She could feel him watching her. You shouldn't have said that, she whispered. I won't let him control you. He's not controlling me. He tried. She finally looked up. His jaw was tight, not angry at her, angry at the situation. This is what I meant, she said softly, about pushing the world away. His eyes shifted, softer now. I didn't push. You challenged. A pause. He exhaled slowly. Measure. You took it off, he said quietly. Her chest tightened. For now. Silence. Then he stepped closer, lowered his voice. You won't have to forever. Her pulse skipped. The certainty was still there, still steady, still dangerous. And for the first time, the secret didn't feel romantic. It felt fragile. It was early evening when Emma realized they were too quiet. Her brother had barely spoken at dinner. Adrian had been normal. Too normal. Calm. Measure. Unreadable. That was what unsettled her. After dinner, Emma went upstairs to shower. The water had just started running when she heard the front door close. She didn't know why her stomach tightened. She stepped out of the bathroom quietly. Listen. Voices. Low. In the backyard. Her pulse quickened. She moved to the window and looked down. Her brother stood near the fence, arms crossed. Adrian stood across from him, still, hands at his sides. No anger visible, but tension thick between them. She couldn't hear the first words, only tone. Her brother's voice was sharp. Adrian's was controlled. Then her brother stepped closer. What are you doing? He demanded. Emma's heart pounded. Adrian didn't move. Standing here, he replied evenly. Don't play dumb. Silence stretched. Then, that ring wasn't random. Adrian didn't deny it. That's not your business, he said calmly. Emma's breath caught. Wrong answer. Her brother's jaw tightened. It becomes my business when it's my sister. Adrian held his gaze. She's not a child. She's still my sister. and she can make her own decisions. The words were steady, not heated, but firm. Her brother stepped even closer now. You think I don't see it? He asked. See what? The way you look at her. Silence. Adrian didn't deflect, didn't laugh, didn't deny. That was louder than an admission. You've been around this house for years, her brother continued. I trusted you. And you still can. That made her brother laugh once. Short, disbelieving. Can I? Adrian's voice lowered slightly. Yes. You're lying. I'm not. Then tell me I'm imagining it. A long pause. Emma's heart thudded in her ears. Adrian didn't speak immediately. He didn't look away either. I won't disrespect her by pretending, he said quietly. The air snapped. Her brother's expression shifted from suspicion to certainty. So it's true. Yes. The word landed heavy. Not defensive. Not ashamed. Just true. Her brother's fists clenched. You've been what? Waiting. Watching. Yes. No hesitation. Emma's breath caught. Her brother took a step back, shaken more by the honesty than by denial. You're sick, he muttered. Adrian's jaw tightened slightly. I never touched her without her choosing it. That made her brother freeze. What does that mean? It means she chose me. Silence. They? Dangerous. Her brother shook his head slowly. You don't get to be that person. I didn't decide to be. That's not how this works. Adrian's voice remained calm. I won't hurt her. That's not the point. It is to me. The tension sharpened. Emma could see it in their posture now. Her brother stepped forward again. If this is some obsession thing, it's not. Then what is it? Adrian didn't hesitate this time. It's permanent. The word hung between them. Her brother stared at him. Permanent? Yes. You think you get to decide that? No, Adrian replied evenly. She does. The silence that followed felt different. Not explosive. Not violent. Heavy. Her brother's voice dropped. If you hurt her, I won't. I will ruin you. Adrian didn't flinch. You won't have to. Emma's pulse pounded. Because that wasn't fear. That was certainty. Her brother studied him one last time, then stepped back. This isn't over, he said. Adrian nodded once. I know. The door opened. Close. Emma stepped away from the window quickly, heart racing. Moments later, there was a knock at her bedroom door. Soft. Measure. She opened it. Adrian stood there, calm, but his eyes were darker now. He knows, she whispered. Yes. What did you say? The truth. Her chest tightened. Are you insane? No. You didn't have to tell him everything. I won't lie about you. The words hit harder than expected. This could ruin everything, she said. I'm not hiding from him. Silence stretched. You promised we'd be careful. I am. That wasn't careful. His jaw shifted slightly. Careful would have been pretending. Her breathing was uneven. You don't understand how protective he is. Adrian stepped closer, lowered his voice. I understand exactly. Her heart skipped. He'll try to separate us. Then we don't separate. The certainty again. Steady. Unmovable. Emma searched his face. You're not scared? His gaze softened slightly. Only of losing you. The simplicity of it made her chest ache. Because that was real. Not control. Not dominance. Fear. I don't want a war, she whispered. There doesn't have to be one, he said. But I won't walk away. Silence. The tension wasn't between them now. It was outside, growing, waiting, and for the first time, Emma realized something heavy. The secret wasn't the fragile thing anymore. The relationship wasn't either. The fragile thing was the trust between the two men in her life, and it was cracking. It was late at night when Emma knocked on her brother's door. The house felt different now, quieter, like it was holding its breath. She didn't wait for him to answer. She opened the door. He was sitting on his bed, phone in hand, jaw tight. He didn't look surprised to see her. "You came to defend him?" he asked flatly. She closed the door behind her. "I came to talk." He let out a short breath. "That's new." She crossed her arms, not defensively, just grounding herself. "You don't get to interrogate him like that." He stood up immediately. "You don't get to hide something like this from me. It's my relationship. It's my best friend." Silence snapped between them. "That's the problem," he continued. "He's been in this house for years." "Yes. And you don't think that's weird?" Her chest tightened. "No. You don't think it's messed up that he's been around you since you were a kid?" Her jaw set. "He didn't do anything when I was a kid." "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "I'm saying I trusted him. And you still can. That's not how this works." "Then how does it work?" she asked. "You fall for some random guy. I deal with it. Fine. But him." Her pulse quickened. "Why is he different?" "Because he's supposed to be my brother." The words landed heavy. Emma softened slightly. "He is," she said quietly. "Then why does it feel like he's taking something from me?" Silence. That wasn't anger. That was fear. She stepped closer. "He's not taking me." Her brother laughed once. "You don't see it." "See what?" "The way he looks at you. Like you're already his." Her breath caught. "That doesn't mean I'm owned. It means he's intense." "Yes." "And you're okay with that?" "Yes." The certainty in her voice startled both of them. Her brother stared at her. "You love him?" he asked. The question shifted everything. Emma hesitated. Not because she didn't know. Because saying it would make it real. She paused. "I don't know what word to use yet. But you're serious?" "Yes." He shook his head slowly. "He's not normal about you." "I know." "That doesn't scare you?" "It should." "And?" "It doesn't." The honesty filled the room. Her brother exhaled slowly. "You think I'm overreacting?" "No." "Then why are you defending him?" She stepped even closer now. "Because this wasn't about Adrian anymore. It was about them." "I'm not choosing him over you," she said softly. "It feels like you are." "I'm choosing myself." That landed. Heavy. Her brother's expression shifted. "You think I control you?" "I think you'd protect me." "I would." "And that's the problem." Silence. He stared at her, confused, hurt. "You don't get to decide who's safe for me," she continued. "You don't get to test him like I'm fragile." "I'm not testing him. I'm protecting you." She softened again. "He already does that." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Her brother caught it instantly. "That's exactly what I'm afraid of." Emma swallowed. "He's trying," she said quietly. "To do what?" "To not push everyone away." Her brother laughed bitterly. "Too late." "No," she insisted. He stood there and admitted it like it was normal. "Because he won't lie." "That's not noble." "It is to me." Silence stretched long between them. Finally, her brother sat back down, exhausted. "You don't see how this could end badly," he muttered. "Everything ends badly if you look at it that way." He looked up at her. If he hurts you, he won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. The certainty in her voice wasn't blind. It was chosen. Her brother studied her for a long moment, then asked quietly, "Are you happy?" The question cut through everything. Emma didn't hesitate this time. Yes. The answer softened something in him. Just slightly. He looked down at his hands, then back up. "I don't trust him," he said honestly. "I know. But I trust you." That meant more than she expected. She stepped forward and hugged him. Not dramatic, just firm. He hesitated, then hugged her back. "I'm not trying to steal you," she whispered. "You're not property," he replied quietly. "Exactly." They pulled apart slowly. The tension wasn't gone, but it had shifted. It wasn't war. It was unease. And unease lingers longer than anger. As she walked back toward her room, Emma felt something settle inside her. This wasn't secret anymore. Not fully. It was exposed. Vulnerable. Real. And that made it heavier. Because now, it wasn't just about desire. It was about choosing him openly. It was just before midnight. It was just before midnight when Emma heard a soft knock. Not at her bedroom door. At her window. Her pulse lifted immediately. She crossed the room and pulled the curtain back slightly. Adrian stood outside in the quiet yard. Not dramatic. Not urgent. Just waiting. She opened the window. "You could have used the door," she whispered. "I wanted to see if you'd come," he replied softly. She did. She slipped outside quietly. The grass was cool beneath her bare feet, the air heavy with summer stillness. He stepped closer immediately. Not touching. Just close. "You didn't answer my text," he said. Her lips curved faintly. "I was reading." His jaw shifted slightly. "For 2 hours." "Yes." Silence. She could feel it. That subtle tension. Not anger. Need. "You don't like when I disappear," she observed. "I don't like when I don't know where you are." "That's different." "It feels the same." She stepped closer, tilting her head slightly. "Are you jealous of a book?" "No." A pause. "Of anything that takes your attention." The honesty made her pulse quicken. "That's not healthy," she whispered. He stepped even closer. Now their bodies almost aligned. "I know." Her breath warmed between them. "You're supposed to be trying." "I am." "Then why are you here?" His gaze held hers completely. "Because I wanted you." The words were simple, but they carried weight. She swallowed. "One is dangerous." "Yes, especially with you." He didn't deny that. Instead, his hand lifted slowly, brushed lightly against her waist, fingers settling there. More certain now, more familiar. "You've been distant today," he said quietly. "I had to talk to my brother." "I know." "Of course you know." A faint shadow of a smile touched his mouth. "You think I don't notice your mood shifts?" She studied him carefully. "You notice everything." "Yes." "And that doesn't scare you?" "No." "Why?" His voice lowered. "Because noticing you is the only thing that feels steady." The air between them tightened again. This wasn't obsession spiraling. This was attachment deepening. She rested her hands against his chest, feeling the warmth through his shirt. "You don't get to revolve around me," she murmured. "I don't revolve." "What do you do then?" His hand slid slowly along her back. "Firm. Grounding. I anchor." Her pulse skit. "That's worse." "No," he said softly. "It means I don't drift." Silence wrapped around them. The night quiet. Intimate. Hidden. You came through the yard like this is some secret affair, she whispered. It is. Does that bother you? No, it should. Why? Because secrets rot. He stepped closer, forehead brushing lightly against hers. This won't. The certainty again. Always the certainty. Her breathing grew uneven. You're very sure. Yes. She kissed him first this time. Not tentative. Not testing. Certain. His response was immediate. Hand sliding to her waist, pulling her flush against him. The kiss deepened slowly, warmer than before, more familiar, less fragile. When they parted, his voice was lower. You don't understand something. Her fingers curled at the back of his shirt. What? You're the only thing I've ever wanted that wanted me back. The confession settled deep, heavy, real. She felt it in her chest. That shift from desire to bond. You're not alone in that, she whispered. His hand moved gently to the back of her neck. Not possessive, protective. Say it, he murmured. Her pulse raced. Say what? That you're choosing me. Silence stretched. The night felt smaller, intimate. She didn't hesitate this time. I'm choosing you. The words changed something in his expression. Not relief. Something deeper. Like something had finally settled inside him. He kissed her again. Slower. More deliberate. And this time, there was no tension from outside. No fear of being caught. Just two people standing in the dark, deciding. It was after midnight again when Emma realized something had shifted. Not outside. Inside. She was sitting on the floor of her room, back against the bed. Adrian sat opposite her, close enough that their knees touched. The lights were off, only the faint glow of the street lamp slipping through the curtains. You've been quiet, he said softly. I'm thinking. His gaze didn't leave her face. About what? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied him, the calm in his posture, the way his hands rested loosely against his thighs. Still, grounded. You don't look at anyone the way you look at me, she said finally. That's not a question. It's not. Silence stretched between them. You don't try to, she added. No. Why? His voice lowered. Because I don't want anyone else. The simplicity of it tightened something in her chest. That sounds dangerous, she whispered. It probably is. She shifted slightly closer. Their knees pressed more firmly together. You don't have friends outside this house, she said. I don't need them. And that doesn't scare you? No. Her breath warmed between them. It scares me. His eyes sharpened slightly. Why? Because if I'm your whole world, what happens if I leave? Silence. Heavy. He didn't look away. You won't. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. Her pulse quickened. You can't decide that. I don't decide, he said quietly. I believe. The certainty in his tone wasn't forceful. It was anchored. And that was more intense than anything else. You're too sure of me, she murmured. I've watched you long enough to know. That doesn't mean I won't change. His hand lifted slowly, resting lightly against her jaw. You won't change in a way that removes me. The words weren't possessive. They were intimate. Like he knew her patterns better than she did. Her breathing grew uneven. And if I try? His thumb brushed softly along her cheek. Then I follow. The quiet promise lingered in the air. She should have stepped back. She didn't. Instead, she leaned forward, their foreheads touching, breath mingling. You're not normal about me, she whispered. No. And you're okay with that? Yes. Silence wrapped around them. They, personal. You don't want space, she said. No, you don't want distance. No, you don't want balance. His voice dropped lower. I want you. The air shifted. Not heated. Not frantic. Just intense. Deliberate. Her hand slid into his, fingers threading together. You're not the only one, she said quietly. His gaze flickered. Something almost vulnerable there. Say it, he murmured again. She didn't hesitate this time. I don't want anyone else either. The confession changed the room. It felt smaller, warmer, more closed off. His hand tightened slightly around hers. Then stop acting like this is temporary, he said. It's not. Then don't talk about leaving. Her pulse quickened. You don't get to erase the possibility. He leaned closer, voice low. I don't want possibility. The honesty in that sentence was heavier than any declaration of love, because it wasn't poetic. It was raw. She studied him carefully. You'd rather live in certainty than freedom. Yes, she felt it then, the truth of what they were becoming. Not casual, not balanced, intense, exclusive, and completely chosen. She kissed him slowly, not urgent, not rush, deep, intentional. His hand slid to her waist, holding her closer than before. Not gentle, not rough, certain. When they pulled apart, his voice was barely above a whisper. If this ever ends, he said quietly, it won't be because I let go. Her heart pounded. And if I do? His eyes locked with hers. You won't. The conviction wasn't control. It was belief. And that belief wrapped around her like heat. She rested her forehead against his again, breathing steady now. You're terrifying, she murmured. I know, but I'm not running. His thumb traced the side of her waist slowly. You won't. The silence that followed wasn't fragile. It wasn't hopeful. It was settled. Outside, the world moved. Cars pass. Lights flicker. People slept. Inside that room, there were no maybes, no drifting, no halfway. Just two people choosing intensity over safety, over balance, over distance, and neither of them looked away. It was early winter when the house felt smaller, not because of walls, because of distance. Emma stood by the window in the living room, watching her breath fog the glass. The air outside was cold. Still, behind her, Adrian adjusted the thermostat without asking. He noticed she was cold before she said it. He always did. You're thinking, he said softly. She didn't turn. Yes. About what? She watched the street for a moment longer. Then, how different everything feels. A pause. Different how? She turned slowly. The house looked the same. Same furniture. Same pictures on the wall. But it didn't feel the same. Her brother had moved out 3 months ago. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Just distance. They still talked. Still met for coffee. But it wasn't the same. Nothing was. You're quiet lately, she said. Adrian stepped closer. Not hovering. Just present. I don't need to talk much. I know. Silence stretch. Comfortable. But heavy. You don't miss him? She asked. I don't miss anyone who doubts us. The certainty was still there. It hadn't softened. If anything, it had settled deeper. Emma studied him. You've lost a lot, she said quietly. He shook his head once. No, your best friend. He made a choice. And you didn't. His gaze held hers. I chose you. The simplicity of it tightened something inside her. She stepped closer, their bodies nearly touching. You don't regret it? No. The answer was immediate. Not rehearsed. Not forced. The house creaked softly with the wind. Outside, the world moved on. Inside, everything felt still. You don't have anyone left who isn't connected to me, she said. I don't need anyone else. And if I change? She asked softly. His hand lifted slowly, rested against her waist. Warm, steady. You won't. That's not realistic. It doesn't have to be. The calmness in his tone should have unsettled her. But it didn't. It grounded her. You still watch me sometimes, she murmured. Yes. Even when I'm in the next room. Yes. Why? His thumb traced lightly along her side. Because I can. The honesty made her exhale slowly. You're not normal, she whispered. No. And I'm not either, she admitted. He stepped closer, closing the final space between them. That's why it works. The words weren't romantic. They were true. She leaned into him, rested her head against his chest. He wrapped his arms around her immediately. Secure. Certain. You don't get tired of me? She asked softly. No. Ever? No. The repetition felt like a vow, not spoken formally. But live. She tilted her head slightly, looking up at him. If I ever tried to leave, she said quietly, would you let me? Silence. Longer this time. His gaze softened, but didn't waver. No, the word wasn't violent. It wasn't sharp. It was calm, unshakable. Her pulse slowed instead of racing. That should scare me, she murmured. It doesn't. She studied him carefully. No, she agreed. It doesn't. Outside, snow began to fall lightly, soft against the street. The world felt distant, muted. Emma slipped her hand into his, the silver ring resting cool against her skin. He noticed. He always noticed. You still wear it, he said quietly. Yes. Why? She didn't hesitate. Because I don't want to forget what we chose. He leaned down, pressed a slow kiss against her forehead. Not heated, not urgent. Settled. You won't, he murmured. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, the intensity didn't feel sharp. It felt permanent, not because it was healthy, not because it was balanced, but because neither of them wanted balance. They wanted certainty. They wanted closeness. They wanted the kind of devotion that didn't leave space for escape. Outside, the snow fell quietly. Inside, nothing moved, nothing drifted, nothing loosened. He held her, and she didn't ask to be let go.